All right, good morning, everyone. It is 11:30, actually 11:31, July 3rd. We're still waiting for a couple members of our committee to join, but while we wait for them, I will go ahead and go through our preamble. It just outlines kind of the rules and procedures of today's meeting. So this is the July 3rd meeting of the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting. Over the virtual meeting regulations and procedures. Action during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the start of any presentation. The recused committee member will then leave the meeting for the duration of the case discussion. The chair will call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call of the committee. The administrator will introduce the first project. The meeting will then be turned over to the applicant to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the committee. Once the presentation is concluded, the administrator will provide background information and summarize any received public comment if applicable. The committee will then begin deliberations and project review. Please use the raised hand feature if you'd like to speak. After deliberations and review concludes, the committee will render its recommendation and/or motion. The applicant may leave the meeting at any point after their project review is complete. All projects will follow the same format until all projects are heard by the committee. Once all projects are heard, the chair will call for any committee/administrator reports. After all reports have been heard, the chair will adjourn the meeting. Regarding community comments, any and all community members may provide their written comments, thoughts, or questions regarding projects presented to the committee. Community members may also telephone their comments or questions to the committee administrator. All comments, thoughts, or questions must be submitted to the committee administrator no later than 48 hours prior to the start of the meeting. Again, those can be emailed, made by phone, or mailed or dropped off here at City Hall. Public comments received after the deadline will not be heard by the committee. Public comment will be collected by Landmark staff and sent to the committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting. Landmark staff will summarize the received comments during the meeting. The applicant of the project is under no obligation to answer any community questions. Community members are invited to attend the Design Review Advisory Committee meetings, but there will be no open public comment period. Regarding design review guidelines, all projects are being reviewed using the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and are being considered for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness. All projects are considered on a case-by-case basis. Presentations were received and distributed to committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting. Changes to the presentation after confirmation of receipt by Landmark staff are not shown today. The Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee makes recommendations to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. These recommendations are not final actions. Depending on the scope of the project, submissions may be approved administratively or will need to be reviewed by the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. If that's the case, projects will be scheduled for the next available commission meeting after an action is taken. Just for reference, we do have the Secretary of the Interior standards up on the screen now, and they will be available if anyone would like to refer back to them at any point today. So with that, the Chairwoman's here. Madam Chair, do you want to call the meeting to order, and then I can happy to call roll?
Yes, we can call today's July 3rd Advisory Committee meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Ms. Flaherty? Mr. Fraundorf? Ms. Lamb?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Persons? Mr. Talley?
Here.
Mr. Trevisano? And Ms. Marinucci?
Here.
All right, Madam Chair, we do have quorum. So without further ado, move to our first project, which is case HOC 25-22, the 2304 Bridge Avenue, the Ohio City Historic District. This is the Brownstone Pavilion signage. So I have your if the presenter's here and would like to introduce themselves and talk us through your project, just let me know when you want me to advance slides.
Um, Good morning. This is Kathy Clark with Ace Lighting. Unfortunately, I am only available by phone right now, so I am not seeing it visually. But I can go over it through the phone. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine. I'll just kind of advance through as you talk.
Okay.
Hopefully everyone will get the picture.
Okay, great. So again, it's for the Roundstone Pavilion design package. First page basically is just your plot plan. Second page, the building itself, the south elevation there, and the building measurements. Third page, again, is the front elevation. Fourth page, side elevation. Fifth page is the rear elevation. And the sixth page is the side elevation. Seventh page is just a look from Bridge Avenue with the building and the farm. Eighth page, the same, just a different view. So the first sign we are presenting is the Roundstone Pavilion at Ohio City Farm. Basically, they are aluminum painted letters, 1 inch tall. That's going to be on the front of the building, and it is mounted with aluminum studs and spacers to keep it 1 inch off the building. So page 11 shows you the profile of what it will look like. Those 3 fixtures are basically light fixtures, and they will be adjusted accordingly. Second sign will be the DiGeronimo family patio sign. Same type of material, aluminum, 1/4 inch, a little bit smaller for the DiGeronimo family. And then the bottom is the 1 inch black matte finish aluminum letters. Page 13 is just a side view, basically. And page 14 is how it will look on the building in the patio area. Page 15 is a double-sided neon sign, which will be in the front window. Basically, it is an aluminum cabinet with neon glass and vinyl backlay, basically. That will be hung from the ceiling with chain and eye bolts. It is double-sided, so you will see it inside and out. That will be switched, so it will turn off at night. It won't be on 24/7. Page 17 shows basically how it will look from the store window. And they do have a night shot in there for page 18, but again, it will be turned off at night. And the last signage package, which is page 18, are the donor plaques. There will be 1 aluminum circle, which they call a sun, which basically says these are the donors that helped build this building, and along with 13 birds that are aluminum. Actually, they're not aluminum, they're acrylic, 3/8 inch, and there is 13 of them, different colors with the donors' names. So page 20 just shows them on the wall, and 21 shows them how they will look on the building. If anybody has any questions?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Does any of my colleagues have a question or comments?
If no one has any comments, I'm ready to approve as presented. I think they all look really great. And I think the building looks great too, so that's all I really have. Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
If you call roll, Dan, or call vote.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Ms. Land,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Trevisano, or I'm sorry, Ms. Marinucci. Did she?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't. It's a long list of people today. I wasn't sure if you had to step away. All right. Thank you very much. So you recommended approval. Since signage and the committee is fine with it, typically we just handle that administratively from here, but I will, Landmark's office will be in touch with you for next steps. So thank you very much.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Next up, we have case HOC 25-23 at 2014 West 53rd Street in the Lorraine Avenue Commercial Historic District. The Crystal Bird mural. Someone here to present this project?
Audio Vergés, the artist, is here. I believe he has Luis Rivas from Metro West. They're having
Some technical issues.
with their sound.
Yeah, if you're trying to speak, we can't hear you, so you might be on mute.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. I had to unmute a few times. So yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here representing the Crystal Dove. Excited. This is one of the first ones where the Transformative Arts Fund has really catalyzed the the art garden as a project in general, and this will be one of the first ones that goes outside of the TAF budget and more in the private funds. So not part of the TAF, but part of TAG, where we're still spreading beautiful murals throughout the city and public arts pieces. Specifically looking at Lorraine through Denison with a heavy focus on Storer. And yeah, excited to show this piece. This one is located on the building where our main HQ, our little studio, is at. And it's right off of Lorraine and 53rd, behind the DOS building, which is the car dealership right there. And it's pretty close proximity to the other mural that we got there for the Judith, La Chanteroy, which was the rooster. And as we start connecting these pieces together, we imagine that there's going to be a beautiful trail that's left behind. The crystal dove represents hope in hard things. What it came from, the idea of no pressure, no diamonds, which was the catalytic piece that really started this group adventure with Black Brain. And the dove is when that diamond heart transforms and takes flight. And for process, it's a brick wall, so we're looking at masonry primer that lets it breathe, with charcoal black or flat black as the main base behind, so that when we do the semi-glosses and glosses of the crystal dove, it really pops out. It's gonna be the south facing wall, but you see it when you're driving north on 53rd. So it'll be the parking lot wall, that wall. So you only see it when you're driving up 53rd, or all the walker buys from the dog park and larger park that's right there by the back trail that goes to the towpath. And overall, the piece doesn't take that much real estate of the building. It really just becomes a little identifier for what happens in the studio in a very abstract way, and want to keep with the colors happening already with the building, as it has those black serrations, the black doors, black window frames. So really just wanted to have it so that creates a ribbon that goes around and just brings you to that image. And then the last thing would be just for the portion that has the dove painted on it, we would do a clear anti-graffiti layer, again because the contrast against the flat black would really make it pop out and feel extra dimensional. That would be all. Any questions? Open it up to the floor. If Tara wants to say anything, I'm not sure. Get it in.
Thank you. I am in support of this mural. I do think this is an appropriate application for this wall. I don't see any particular significance historically for this building or wall that would prevent this mural from being appropriate on this facade. I think the composition, size, and scale works well. And I also believe that we had gotten an email from Councilwoman Spencer or Santana in support of the mural. I'm looking here. I don't see it right now, but I recall getting one. I think I just didn't print it. But I am in support, and I hope that the committee will also be in support. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I have any feedback or questions. Anything from my colleagues?
I have nothing. I think it looks great. It's going to be a wonderful addition to the neighborhood. It sounds like you're already aware. You were talking about using masonry primer. Like it sounds like you're already aware. Obviously, issues that can happen when we paint brick, but I just think it's going to be wonderful. I'm ready to approve as presented, unless there's anybody else with questions. I'm ready to make a motion.
I think you're safe to go ahead and
Okay.
make it. And then if
Then I
comments.
make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. Seeing no other hands raised or other comments, I'll move forward with the roll call. Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Clary,
Yes.
Ms. Lamb,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Talley,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, since this is public art, it does need to go to the Landmarks Commission, so we do have you penciled in for next week's commission meeting, but we'll be in touch with those details.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Dan, you're muted.
Gotcha. I said a bunch of important stuff too, but I guess just move on. The next case is HOC 25-25 at 1780 West 28th Street, New Ohio City Historic District. Window and door replacements at that address. We have Alexander Mold here. So yeah, if you want to walk us through your project, I'll advance through the slides when it's helpful.
All right, so I'll say my project isn't as cool as that mural was, but I'll try to make it exciting. Uh, so this is going to be at 1780 West 28th. I believe the next slide just shows my application. The one after that, just location of the home. We'll be doing 3 sides of the house. This is the front of the house. I believe it's also the east facing house. The windows that I had circled, the bottom 4, and then the one at the top right. Those ones will be replacing like for like. We're doing a cap color that's matching the current, and then the painted exterior of the actual sashes themselves will also be made to match the current house, so we're not doing any dramatic changes or anything. And then we've got at the top there, that's the attic on the east side, or the north side, I'm sorry. So both of those will be replaced like for like, as will this one that I circled at the bottom right there in their office. And then the back of the house shows the last window on the left, and then the door that we'll be replacing, also with a green that I have detailed on some other slides just to show that the colors are going to be matching the house's exterior. This just goes over our product. We offer a 100% pure virgin vinyl. We have low E glass to protect the interior of the home from UV rays, argon fill rates on the windows for energy efficiency and to make sure that no fogging ever occurs in between the panes of glass. And we use a patented super spacer technology for the seals. That's just for longevity to make sure that the windows last for a long time. And then this is for the windows on the left-hand side. That shows the actual window color itself. That's what the exteriors will be. On the interior, I believe that they're doing a white interior. And then the capping color that goes around the frames of the windows on the exterior, and that was a color that matched their current. You can go to the next slide. All right, and then yeah, this just goes over the color of the door. As we saw when we looked at the pictures, they had that darker green door. That's the color that I had circled on the bottom right there. That color is going to match very well. And this just shows we're doing a steel door. We will be rebuilding the frames of the door because they're currently having door sag and they have gaps inside. So we're making sure that we're fixing that so that they don't get any more air or water or bugs or anything like that inside the house. And then the interior color of the door will be white. And that just goes over a little bit about us. We don't have third-party installers. So all the job is being done by good workers. Demo sample of the window. I'm sure you guys have seen windows before, but that's just something I threw in there just in case you guys wanted to take a look at it. And then I believe the last slide kind of just goes over our warranty for the window for the current homeowner. It is, as long as they own the home, the warranty covers pieces, parts, labor, material, installation. It's the whole 9 yards for them. And then if they ever sold the house, that warranty transfers over 20 years to the next homeowner. And then the last part, I believe, yeah, so that would be the last part there. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I do have a couple clarifying questions. The steel door is at the rear of the property, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what are the existing window conditions in the home?
So many of them don't operate. The double hungs.
I'm sorry, material wise.
Oh, I believe it was wood.
Okay. And did the Landmarks Commission talk to you about the use of vinyl?
No one. This is my first time talking to you.
Oh, okay. So typically we would not approve vinyl to replace wood windows, especially if they were original, which they may or may not be in this case, but I would not be in support of a vinyl window on the front of the property. I think we'd be willing to allow for it at the rear and the side if it were not visible from the front, though my preference is still to maintain the original windows or replace in kind, which would be wood windows.
Okay.
Anyone else?
And I guess just to be clear about, I haven't spoken with Mr. Mold about this project in particular. Whenever anyone applies for permit to install new windows, we send them our window policy and kind of outlines
Oh,
what
you know what? I'm so sorry. I did
yeah.
get that.
But he hasn't come before any committee. We haven't really,
Yes.
this is his first presentation, just to be clear.
Do any of my colleagues have a differing opinion?
I definitely don't have anything more to add. You pretty much said it all. Is that on the front end, we typically, um, if they're currently wood, typically, replace in kind, um, since they're wood and they're not vinyl already, then, we probably wouldn't be able to approve it on the front. Um, I don't know if we kind of approve the sides and the rear and then, or what exactly the motion looks like.
I would
Usually,
think if you're comfortable with the sides and rear, I think you could approve the sides and the rear, and recommend an alternative material or repair for the front. Since it won't be a full approval, it would go to the Landmarks Commission with your guys' comments and recommendations from there.
okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, I have another clarifying question. The presenter today, you are representing the window company, correct? You're not the homeowner?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, ideally, I'd also like to have the opportunity for the homeowner to understand what we're asking for and or consider replacement with in-kind material on all of the windows. That isn't, I don't suggest that we not make a motion today. I just want to give them the opportunity to consider wood windows elsewhere as well.
Do we want to reject and then ask for another table it? That's probably what I wanted to say is kind of make a motion to table it if all of the members sorry, go ahead.
It looks like we may have the homeowner here. Is that Mr. Hughes? Are you the homeowner?
Oh, he is.
Yeah, I am. I decided to join today just to see how these things work.
All right. Hey.
Okay, great. I apologize. I didn't know you were here.
No worries. It's all good.
Do you feel like, do you need more clarity on the window policy?
I don't think I've seen the window policy myself, so I would love if I could get a copy of that. Maybe
Okay,
Alexander probably has it. He could send it over, or maybe the committee could send it to me directly.
The committee can definitely do that.
Okay, thanks.
So options are, we can make a motion to approve in part, or we can table with your permission. And tabling would just allow you to have a little bit more time to educate yourself on the policy, maybe explore some other options, and then come back with a fully, a committee a proposal that's fully ready to be approved in full.
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah, I wanted to add one piece of clarity on the some of the windows in the house have been replaced with vinyl already. If you go back to the front elevation, the one at the very top on the left-hand side that you can't quite see behind the tree leaves, that's actually a vinyl window already. And I think that was done in the late 90s, sometime in the 90s. But the rest of those other 8 front windows are indeed wood. So not trying to get out of it, but I'm just saying that there's mixed materials in the house. And a lot of the side and rear windows in the left-hand unit are already vinyl as well.
Okay, great. I mean, thank you for being upfront that these ones remaining are wood. That would be our priority, is to preserve or replace in kind. The previous years, lots of times vinyl went in prior to the committee evolving its window policy, but also prior to perhaps the different expansions of the historic district that would have been done prior to. But
gotcha, makes sense.
Just to get background.
Super helpful, thanks.
So do you guys know if you would like to table, or would you like us to make a motion?
I think at this point I'd like to consider it a table just so we can reconsider what our options are.
That
because
works.
we have issues to deal with. So thanks.
Thank you.
Then I make a motion to table.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second with the consent from the owner. Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Ms. Lamb,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Talley,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously. Mr. Hughes, I guess I'm happy to send you the policy and kind of talk through it with you if you're interested. I don't know, do you want to share your email address in this kind of public
Yeah,
meeting, or do you want to just shoot me an email and whatever's easier?
I just typed it in the chat. No
Okay,
concerns there.
Okay. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for the committee's time.
Very much. All right, moving on to our next case. With case HOC 25-26 at 1507 West 38th Street in the Ohio City Historic District. Got Mr. David Ellison here to present a porch restoration. David, let me know, do you want me to advance through slides?
Show where the property is located on West 38th Street, just north of Franklin. If what we want to do is to repair the floor primarily of the porch that's currently there. This isn't an application for the entire restoration of the outside of this house, nor I don't believe that we're going to try to restore the entire porch at this time, but the flooring of the porch and the railings of the porch have been cited as a problem, and we need to repair them while we prepare the plans and the financing for the restoration of the house. So this is sort of an interim repair, and we'd like to do it right so that we don't have to do it again. But it probably will involve replacing the joists of the porch and the floor deck of the porch and the railings, as well as the steps coming up onto the porch. And if you scroll through, I think you'll see the drawings that we've prepared for this. Now, we've documented the porch and its posts and railings and roof completely so that those details are documented as to what is there now. And our intention is to preserve the existing material where possible and to do the repairs necessary to get the floor deck and the railing and the steps going up to it in a safe condition. And so we're really not talking about replacing or removing historic material. We're talking about doing minimal restoration to the bottoms of these existing porch posts. I think we may get around to replacing the two mismatched porch posts that are on the south side, and we'll be replacing the railing and the deck. In doing that, you know, sometime along the way they had put in cinder block piers, and those are sort of lopsided and falling apart. If you go to the photographs, I think you'll see the condition of this. Our plan is to put wooden posts on new concrete foundations with post bases, and then to cover that whole underside of the porch with a screened lattice work. Yeah, you can see there the condition of the porch deck, and the bottom of this post is kind of a wreck. Some of it's plywood, some of it's rotted tongue and groove. The piers underneath the porch are these concrete blocks that are out of place and not, you know, they're not vertical and they're not held in place very well. So our intention is to replace this whole porch deck to what it would have been originally, and to repair the bottom of the posts and sort of put this thing back together while we prepare plans for the rest of the house. And this is kind of an urgent issue for the homeowner, and we need to get the deck of this porch repaired. There are probably repairs up in the roof section and the balances of the porch that we'll do, you know, as much as we have to now, but the intent is to leave all that historical material in place. And I think that if you continue to scroll through the pictures, do you want me to describe what's in these pictures, or is it self-explanatory?
I think it's self-explanatory.
So the next picture down, you can see the mismatched porch post that must have been replaced at some time. At least that's what appears. We did a little bit of research on this house and the house next to it. It turns out that there are two houses on the corner of Clinton that were built nearly at the same time, and all four were owned by a guy named, well, now I'm not coming up with their names, but the ones on Clinton, we know that was designed by Frank Coburn. And so the thinking is that because they're done at the same time, because they're owned by the same person, and because some of their details are quite similar, that these two houses, this one and the one north of it, were also done by Frank Coburn, although there's not there's not documentary evidence that this is the case. I ended up recognizing the details from this from a house that we drew drawings for, but the work was never implemented on Franklin, that had identical porch posts and very similar valances above the porch, which we probably also could attribute to Frank Coburn, but or Coburn and Barnum, but there wasn't any evidence there either. You can kind of see here the mess of the foundations and the lattice work and the railings. It's rotted out and it's not in a safe condition. So here's our measured drawings of the eaves and the valances and our proposal for the new railing. And there's the full-size cut through the existing porch posts. So our intention is to rebuild the deck and to replace the porch railing and to repair the bottoms of these posts as required, and then to paint it, you know, the same colors that it is right now until we get around to doing the more major restoration of the outside of this house.
Thank you, David. I have no questions or comments. Looks great.
Thank you.
I had one question. The new flooring material, is that supposed to be tongue and groove?
That's right. Our drawings, and see, we haven't gotten the contractor on board yet, and we haven't gotten a handle on how much this costs yet. When we do the whole project, we'll be looking for, you know, adequate financing. Right now, it's an emergency, and we're trying to repair it. So the drawings call for tongue and groove wood or tongue and groove Trex, synthetic decking that would be tight, very much like a historic wooden floor, but we have listed that Trex as an option for the deck. It won't be the spaced 2x6 decking that sometimes that the owner doesn't want to do that. We wouldn't want to do that either. So
okay, because I saw a note in the drawings about like 1/8 inch apart, and so I did not see, and I could have missed it, the tongue and groove. So just look at that, please.
Let me look at that, and I'll correct that note if that's in there. That's not what the intention is.
If no one has any other additional questions or comments, I will make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Seeing no other hands raised, Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Ms. Lamb,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Talley,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you,
Thank
David.
you. Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Next up, we have case HOC 25-27 at 2523 Market Avenue in the Market Square Historic District. Warts and wards signage. Is there someone here to represent this project?
Ben?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It looks like, Ms. Jordan, if you're speaking, you're muted.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I guess it looks like, yeah, if whoever wants to present, just, yeah, let me know when you want me to advance slides.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, we've got a couple of representatives on here this morning because we're all interested also just kind of in how the process works. But so my name is Jerica. I'm one of the owners of Wards and Wards, and we recently acquired the building at 2525 Market Avenue, or 2523 to 2538. There's a couple of addresses there. But it's, yeah, the former Flying Fig restaurant. So you can go ahead and advance actually pretty quickly through these first couple of slides. We've got some introductions and title slides. But basically, we are just looking to update the existing signage and branding to reflect our new ownership of the building. So we can go ahead and advance. We've got our agenda. Sorry, me and my business partner are both art history majors. So, you know, we have a lot of PowerPoint experience and we tend to go overboard. But this is just the site map, kind of giving you a look at where we're located. So I know most of you are very familiar with this area. We're right there across from Great Lakes Brewery in the former Flying Fig. And I think we have some previous historic photos of those as well, if you want to advance. Yeah. So what was formerly operating as the Flying Fig, and then I think for about a year, or maybe a little less than, that same ownership in the building kind of reopened as a new concept as the Pearl Street Wine Market and Cafe. And so that's the existing signage that now we're looking to replace. So there's that kind of projecting banner sign that we'd like to replace, some window signage, and then we're also proposing a new awning for the exterior and some cedar box planters around that gated area around the front, just to dress up the area and make it look like somebody's now living there. So we can go ahead and advance through. Yeah, so this is just basically the site plan, kind of showing the property line and all of our measurements. I don't know if it's possible to zoom in here, but we, you know, tried to really get a good measurement for everything. So giving you an idea of about the projection of the signage and the awning versus where it extends, you know, to our property line. But none of it is going to be invasive into that pedestrian pathway. As you kind of saw in the photos, we have that little gated area out front, and all of the signage will be contained in that. So if you want to advance to, yeah, I think we've got a elevation out front again, just to show where the signage and the awning will fall in relation to the height of the building and the doorways, etc. And then the next slide, I believe we'll just have a floor plan. And this is just going to be the basic layout of the shop once we get everything finished up inside. So we'll have a retail area in the front 2 rooms, and then the back 2 former dining areas are being converted one side into mixed use active studio. We'll have a couple of community yoga classes, group meditation, bath sessions, things like that. And then on the other side, we'll have an opportunity for just kind of a community meeting space where we can do workshops or have talks from different people in the holistic health and wellness community who can come in and kind of do some Q&A sessions and things like that in the back space. And then if we want to advance to the next slide, we've got a rough mock-up of our landscape plan, kind of showing what we envision that whole detail will look like with the cedar box out front. And then we've got a couple of detail slides if you want to go to the next for the signage. So this is just kind of a full site rendering, beautifully hand painted and drawn by my business partner. And then so the window signage, there was some existing vinyl in the windows. And unfortunately, we learned about this entire approval process after we had these windows changed. We hired a local sign painter out of Lakewood, and he did this beautiful gold leaf. So we replaced the existing signage that just had the Pearl Street Market and Cafe branding. And then they had a little logo up above the main doorway that we replaced with a branded monogram as well. And so those are both in hand painted gold leaf. And we've got a couple of detail shots of those as well. And then for the projecting signage, again, it's this, existing kind of little banner sign out front that we would like to replace with what you see over on the right. That was done by the same sign painter out of Lakewood. So it's a hand painted sign that's on metal mounted on a wood panel. And then that would be projecting about 2 feet out, almost identical to where it is now from a wrought iron bracket. And then similarly for the awning, we'll be replacing that smaller existing awning that only extends over the central doorway, which leads to the upstairs 2 units with one that extends just further over the side. And as you can see, we're planning on doing just the address for 2525 Market Avenue in a gold print on the right front side. And then here's some detailed drawings. We do have some representatives with us from the awning company if y'all have any specific questions about installation or how that might go. So they will definitely be the ones who are better qualified to answer those questions. But this is kind of the overall detail of dimensions, etc. Ben, did you want to chime in? Was that a hand?
This is my name's Alan Zarek, and I'm the owner of the awning company. I'm here with Ben today. And the awning that we propose is basically a traditional shed style awning, 27-foot wide, 5'6" wall rise, 4-foot projection, same wall rise and projection on the awnings that have been there previously. God, I don't know, 3 or 4 times over my 40 years if I replaced awnings on this building. But if you can see what she wants to do
Next
there.
slide. Oops,
Yeah.
Sorry, one more.
There you go.
There we go.
That's not the drawing that we produced. However, it's going to be forest green, much like that. But if the drawing that was back 2 slides before, it's just a traditional shed style awning. So the projection on it is only 4 foot. There it is, right there. And that's the forest green fabric. And as far as signage goes, the only signage on there is the 2525 Market. Her blade sign people are providing the additional signage. So if there's any questions about the awning itself, I could definitely handle that.
Thank you so much, Alan. And that, I mean, as you guys saw, it's really just a couple of detail slides in between that are talking about the specific pieces and materials. And then the last 2 slides are talking specifically about that gate plan with the cedar box planters and our list of proposed plants that we'd like to include. Just to kind of summarize, all of the plants that we selected are native to the Ohio or the Great Lakes region, or they've been naturalized with really minimal ecological impact. They're all really beneficial for pollinators. They repel pests and are deer resistant, which we love, and they're very low maintenance overall. So that is the summary for us. If there are any questions about any of it, we'd be happy to answer what we can.
If I just from staff perspective, could I add a couple questions that just came up while we were looking at this? Is there a second floor tenant? It looks like there's some signage on the existing awning that gives access to the second floor. Are they? I guess, are you guys going to be utilizing the whole building, or is that tenant still there and going to be losing signage with this new awning?
Yeah, and so there are still existing tenants, two existing tenants up in the upstairs floors. One of the companies does have the existing signage on the front of the building with their logo. And so we have spoken with them since we acquired the building. We are also new landlords, and of course, we don't want to ruffle any feathers or start any bad relationships. So we definitely wanted to chat with them and let them know that this was something that we were planning to do and wanted to run it by them. And they said absolutely. And they were actually the ones who said, "Well, have you guys checked with the Landmarks Commission?" And we said, "Who?"
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
we were very grateful that we started that conversation because they pointed us in y'all's direction.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I guess I used to work like for several years on the second floor of this building, so I probably overthinking this, but I guess was also curious. The rear portion, the Lorraine Avenue portion of the building that used to be the kitchen and where the dumpster was. Are you guys using that at all for anything? Is there any hope of reintroducing like a presence on Lorraine Avenue with this building?
There absolutely is. That is our next step plan. So we basically, just to kind of give you guys a bit of background about who we are and what our business is. So we're a holistic health and wellness craft retailer. We're working with a lot of small, preferably local and regional vendors to create and market a variety of teas, tinctures. We'll have over 130 mostly organic herbs and spices that will be available for bulk purchases, plastic-free candles, incense, books, ethically sourced crystals, kind of the whole gamut of like that ethically sourced, sustainable, holistic health and wellness market. And then with the active studio spaces in the back, really trying to get people engaged in it as a community space as well. And then ultimately, we'd like to repurpose that commercial kitchen as our production space. So in addition to working with some small local vendors, we also have our own product line. And we'd love to be able to use that space for production on site. But working with our contractors, that's going to definitely be a future project. There's plenty of dirt and grease in there from it being in use for 30 plus years as a commercial kitchen. And so we really need to strip it down to bare bones and completely renovate that space. And we would absolutely like to get rid of the existing kind of vinyl clings that are on those windows that exist on Lorraine Avenue and open it up so that the production space is visible from the drive side on Lorraine. So that's definitely on our plans for the future, and I'm sure we'll be back with another proposal once we're ready to fund that project.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. I used to sit right above the dumpster room, and I think reusing it as a production facility probably makes a lot more sense, especially in July and August. It probably makes the second floor a lot more pleasant to be in. But that's all I the questions staff had.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or anything else we can answer?
I just had a question about the mounting for the awning. Couldn't quite see in the drawing if it's specified to go through the mortar and not the brick.
Is that what you wish?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, so said we shall do.
Thank you.
There's a lot of awnings that have gone up over the years on that building. If you could look at it closely, there's patching probably in about 10, 15 spots. Well, not in that, but if you, the other pictures, well, I don't think you have that in the presentation. However, so stipulated, we will make sure it goes into the mortar. That's
If there's no other questions or comment, I'm happy to make a motion to approve as presented with the stipulation that the awning be mounted into the mortar joint and not the brick.
Second.
All right, hearing no other comments, seeing no other hands, Ms. Anderson? Ms. Anderson, are you still here? Ms. Clary had to, I was called into another meeting. Ms. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Talley?
Yes.
And Ms. Marinucci?
Yes.
All right, Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Great.
All right, thank you guys. My office will be in touch with next steps. But thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for your time.
you.
All right, that concludes our certificate of appropriateness final reviews. We do have one schematic case. For schematic review, it's case HOC 25-24, 3801 to 15 Lorraine Avenue in the Lorraine Avenue Historic District. The Noble Beast Beer Garden, they would like to put an addition on an existing building and do some renovations. So got Wesley Harper from Horton Harper here and Brad Nosen talk us through this proposal. And after their presentation, I do have some public comment to summarize before the committee gets into their comments. So just let me know if you want me to advance through slides, guys.
Sure thing. Yeah. Hi. This is Brad Nosen. I represent the group of people which own these properties. Just want to say we are very aware that we have not yet gone to the block club. We were told that there was not any meeting scheduled, but we are working with them to set up a meeting for later this month. So we're very aware of that, but we did want to run you guys through our proposed design so we can go to them with what we are a plan based on everybody's feedback. You can go to the next slide, and then I'll pass it over to Wes here. I've got Wes from Horton Harper and our construction team as well. Obviously, the site is at 38th and Lorraine. You have two buildings, 3801 and 3815 Lorraine. Next slide, please. 3801 is a small, about 600 square foot CMU building. I've lived in Ohio City for like 15 years. This building and lot has sat vacant for the entirety of my life in Ohio City. And 3815 has had a mix of users and has sat vacant for the last couple of years. This is a redevelopment of 3815 and a redevelopment and activation of 3801 Lorraine. I will pass over to Wes. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Wes Harper with Horton Harper Architects. Here we're looking at the vicinity map, essentially, of the site. Across the street, we have the back end of the Metro Health facility in the former Hollywood Video. And across the street, we have the, I believe it's vacant, bike shop. Next. So here is the Lorraine Avenue facade at this point of the existing two-story structure. To the left, you can see a portion of the old gas station that's been painted black. And then the further east here, you can see the vacant area, which has had a significant amount of remediation from that gas station to the tune of $100,000, I believe, at this point. So we've worked hard as a team to get this as a development ready site. Next. Just kind of spinning around to the east. The existing storefront of the existing structure you can see is obviously nowhere near its original condition, and we'll get into that, the design of that as we proceed through the project here. But obviously a brick structure has Spanish tiles above the bay windows above the second floor. Very handsome structure. Look forward to doing the work to get this in functioning order. Next. To the left here, you can see the northern view of the existing gas station that was essentially applied to the side of the existing building, the existing two-story building previously. It's all CMU block in varying levels of disrepair. Looking to maintain as much of that as possible from a structural perspective. But the addition that we'll be putting onto the building essentially expands the footprint of that building. To the right, you can see the rear of the two-story structure and the gas station. Obviously, the garage door for the station, and then a deteriorated egress stair coming off of the back of the second story, which will be apartments in its redeveloped form. Next. Just another view towards the rear. At left, at right, you can see the western facade of the existing two-story structure. We will be replacing the entry door that you can see at the left in that image, which would be an egress stair for the stairway, or egress door from the stairway that leads up to the second floor. Next. Here, just some context views. This is Fidrich Bicycle Shop to the north along Brain. Next. Here we are, if you were looking east, handful of addresses west of the existing structure. So you can see across the street, we have a mix of two-story buildings, and then across the street, on our side of the street, we have the one-story retail. Next. Here we're looking at the more residential context of the project. You have a mix of two-story homes on both sides of the street. Directly south of us, past that wood fence that you see, there's a parking lot, and then the residential structures continue south from there. Next. So the tenant for this new structure, which we'll get into as this proposal goes along, is Noble Beast, which is located on Lakeside Avenue, just east of downtown. Their existing space, which they would be maintaining. So this project is basically another location. They're in an older warehouse structure that has central skylight that accentuates a lot of greenery that take care of and maintain as a primary portion or primary character of the space. And that's something that we're going to start to do in this new project on Marine Avenue. They've been around for many years, and they've been a real asset to that part of the east side of downtown. Next.
Just to jump in, sorry, Wes. We also have Sean Yasaki, the owner of Noble Beast. They're also owners in the real estate on this project, so they're investing in the neighborhood as well, outside of their their business.
Thanks, Brad. So here we have the existing site plan, obviously very diagrammatic at this conceptual level. You can see the two-story structure to the west, one-story gas station structure to the east, and then basically a overgrown former asphalt parking lot. There is an existing easement on the rear side of parcel 07058 that would be maintained so that access can be gotten to the rear portion of the site. And we've been working with the neighbor to the west to allow for deliveries to come down that side of the driveway, which would mitigate deliveries coming onto the more residential side of the project, which I think is important. Next. And so here is a diagrammatic site plan showing basically a one-story addition next to the renovated two-story building. That would be a one-story addition that would contain a bar area, bathrooms, and a new kitchen. Just to the west of that, towards the rear of the existing two-story building, we'd be putting in a prefabricated walk-in cooler, and then rebuilding those egress stairs. Further east, we see the one-story greenhouse, which is basically a polycarbonate clad structure, which would allow for four-season usage. It would be constructed to allow garage doors to open in the months where that's appropriate, and then to act as an acoustical buffer to the residential neighborhood. The greenhouse is south of what would be an open-air patio, essentially, for restaurant service, and along the sidewalks you would have planters, which we'll see in the renderings as we go, and to kind of connect the design aesthetic of the current open piece, there would be a significant amount of landscaping and vegetation to kind of become the character of the space. Next. Here is the actual layout of the existing structure, kind of at the top of the page here. You can see facing Lorraine Avenue, putting the main dining room space. So we think that would be a very active space, adding activity and use along that Lorraine frontage. Just east of that, you have the egress stair coming down from the second story, and then the stair down to the basement further south. You can also see the stair number 1 facing the western facade to allow egress up and down there as well. In the rear of the existing structure, there would be a cocktail bar, which is a handful of steps up from that west dining room that you see labeled there. We are looking to maintain the light well that exists within that two-story structure, possibly to add more greenery, really just to get light down into that space in the cocktail bar and the egress as you move into the space. The main patio entry would be from Lorraine Avenue, kind of middle right this plan. And so the idea would be that you're entering off the sidewalk of Lorraine, heading south, and then you can see the double door vestibule basically acting as the central spine and the connection from the outdoor patio, the access to the main just to the south, and then into the existing two-story building. To the north of that, we have an addition that contains the restrooms for the project. Obviously, this is a meeting code on this perspective, or this portion of the project for the Ohio Building Code. There is a mislabeling of the setback of that addition relative to Lorraine Avenue. See, it says 15 foot 5 1/8. That's actually 15 foot even to meet the PRO setback requirements for cafes. Further to the south, you can see the kitchen and the walk-in cooler, that rebuilt egress stair. And then to the east, we have the greenhouse structure. Again, that would be a covered space allowing light in through the sides and the top. And then the garage doors, which would open up facing West 38th Street, and the patio itself to the north. Next. Here we have the first rendering here, kind of elevated above the corner of 38th and Lorraine, looking towards the southwest. You can see that starting at that corner, we have an elevated planter that allows some privacy and a buffer between the pedestrians on Lorraine Avenue and the patio space. You're also seeing downlighting that would be illuminating the patio and the public sidewalk itself. Along 38th, we're also proposing, if this is something that the city would be on board with putting bike racks to allow for non-vehicular visiting to the site. At the rear of the site, you can see the greenhouse kind of acting as a lantern on the site at night. Here we have the garage doors shown open. And then to the west of that, we have the one-story addition that is clad in a vertically oriented wood. And then facing Lorraine, we have a large portal of fluted glass facing out towards Lorraine. And then next to that, building in some opportunities for that facade to kind of become a green vertical surface with vegetation, plantings, and all of that. You can see on the second story of the existing two-story building the potential for signage. Noble Beast had this sign painted a handful of years ago by a local artisan, so that's a very prominent opportunity there for signage for the business. Next. So here's a view looking from 38th, kind of on that spine that leads directly from the double door entry to the addition. We kind of get an idea of the scale of the greenhouse and the garage doors opening up. The ground surface for this would, of course, be engineered to drain all stormwater. We see it as kind of a crushed gravel surface. It's kind of hard to see in this image, but towards the rear of the greenhouse, there would be a 6-foot tall fence that would block visibility into the greenhouse from the residential portions of the neighborhood to the south. In the foreground, you can see just kind of a placeholder for pedestrian scaled lighting that would define the perimeter of the patio. And then to the right in this image, you can see mid-sized planter that could afford some larger growth trees relative to what you typically see in this sort of project. Next. Here's just a view in that greenhouse looking to the north. This would be a full service space with food available. You can start to see a little bit of the idea, at least, of the vertically oriented wood siding. It's a work in progress at this point. Of course, this is a conceptual view, so that's something that we'd like to get your input in eventually in this presentation. But again, the kind of hanging greenery and kind of overgrown feel is what we're trying to kind of mine from their existing space on Lakeside. Next. Here's a view looking towards the south, kind of get a better idea of a fence that would be beyond the greenhouse. So in actuality, there would be the greenhouse solid wall of polycarbonate, the wood fence, 10-foot driveway, and then the existing fence to the south. Next. And here's a view at night looking from the northern end of the greenhouse into it. You can see to the right, the wood texture kind of changes to emit kind of a typical European beer garden material palette, which again, this is a work in progress, but we're looking to have different wood finishes and how that's detailed out. Next. Here's a view more towards the corner of Lorraine and 38th. Within the site, we are proposing a fire pit here. That would, of course, be something we'd have to go through the city approval process specifically for that, to getting permitted for a fire pit. But essentially, we're trying to create a communal space here that people can kind of gather around and enjoy Lorraine Avenue. Behind it, you can see the one-story addition, and the patio would, of course, be peppered with tables and benches, umbrellas. And so we see this as a highly active space, really in contrast to what's there existing currently. Next. Here's a view looking north from the western sidewalk of West 38th Street. Again, you can see these pedestrian scaled downlights, which we think will become a feature for this project. We'd also instigate growth along the guardrails, vegetation. And, as this proposal becomes more detailed, there would, of course, be infill in that guardrail as you go along West 38th Street. Next. Here's a view from 38th looking at the greenhouse. Again, the garage doors are open. And the polycarbonate that would act as the roof and the cladding on the sides, there's a lot of different color options with that. We are trying to make this feel like a glowing lantern in the evening. So that would be something that it's kind of an ongoing study. Next. Then looking south from Lorraine, this is the main pedestrian entry into the project. We're looking to clearly define that with kind of a simple steel portal, which integrates signage, which could be lit up at night. Obviously, a sign approval. We're not looking for that right now, of course, but that would be something that we'd be coming back for eventually. Next. And then here's a view at street level, looking at the Lorraine entry. The planter that we have here would be a significant structure, I think, clad in Corten steel. We'd be putting a larger growth tree at that corner to kind of anchor that intersection. And then you can see, we'll start moving towards the storefront of the existing two-story building, so you can see how that's coming together. Next. Next, please. Here's a night view looking towards the west at that signage and portal. Also see that the addition to the right here, instigating the kind of overgrowth of it in some ways, but it would be manicured and curated essentially. Next. Here we have kind of the total Lorraine frontage of the new and existing structure. The storefront would be opened back up to its original configuration. We do have basically a larger single expanse of glass on either side of the entry door, transom above, and then that would be divided essentially at the top header of the door, just to keep that simple, consistent. And then the color scheme for the portion below, we're kind of kicking around some different ideas of dark red and gray. The existing windows of the second floor would remain. Those are white. And so we'd have to contend with that as part of the palette. But again, we see this existing two-story building as complete reactivation of that storefront, allowing visibility into and out of it during the day and night, which is something we're very excited about. Next. We do have drawings of the existing structure. This is the first floor, two-story building and the gas station. Next. The existing basement and then the second floor at the bottom. Next. And then the Lorraine Avenue facing facade. Again, the addition would be a vertically oriented wood cladding. The glazing that is into the structure meets the percentage requirements for the PRO district based on the overall length of the existing building and the addition. Next. Here at the bottom, you have the eastern facade showing the greenhouse, and then the addition to the right. Next. And then the southern elevations here. You can see the proposed fence at the base of the greenhouse, and then the new egress stair behind the two-story structure at left. Next. And, you know, I don't know if we need to really go through this. We've kind of described it from the renderings, but material palette. And I believe that's it, Dan, in terms of the presentation. From a zoning perspective, obviously I mentioned the 15-foot setback for the restaurant space. That does comply with the PRO requirements. Fire pit is something that we work with the city on that specifically, on getting that permitted. And then the parking, since we are in the transit-oriented development overlay, there's no parking required for this. Again, we'd like to add some bike parking options here. But, you know, this is a transit-oriented thoroughfare, and we'd like to think that this would be a transit-oriented project. So with that, Brad, if you have anything else to add, or be happy to hear the committee's comments.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, before the committee gets into it, we did receive 3 emails, public comment before our deadline. They were all sent to the committee, so they were in with the information about the rest of the presentations you guys received. I would summarize them as not supportive. They expressed concerns about the impact to the residential properties nearby, potential zoning issues. They wanted better communication with the block clubs, which from what Brad says, it sounds like is in the works. They stressed that this is not an entertainment district, and that this proposal is not in line with improving the quality of life in the neighborhood. And they felt that this historic context was not considered in the design. I guess I will also note that since our deadline, we have received about 20 plus letters of support. Since those weren't here before the deadline, they weren't shared with you guys. Those will go to the Landmarks Commission for their consideration. And the applicant did forward an email expressing the support of Councilmember McCormick. So that,
Thank
let the committee
you.
get into it.
Thanks, Dan. I don't think I did not see those letters come in, so I did not read them, in full disclosure. In terms of, and this is not necessarily the onus of this board in particular, but is in the question of zoning, is there is change of use? Or is this in, I mean, what does that look like in terms of the use as a restaurant?
Wes or Brad, I don't know if you guys have looked into that much. I mean, it's in I think a general
It's
retail.
local retail.
It's a pretty broad district. So I don't know that would be an issue. We can certainly get feedback from our zoning folks here at the city. I haven't received that feedback yet.
Yeah, both are commercial retail use. Yep.
So there wouldn't be any kind of use issue. Am I correct?
I don't believe so. I think it's a allowable use within that zoning district.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does anyone on the committee want to start, or do you want me to start? Hearing no one else, I can start. Oh, actually, Dan, are you able to read Alex's comments or summarize them, or is that appropriate? I think you're muted, Dan, if you're talking.
Yes, yeah, I'm just trying to get back into my email here. I've got my screens all covered up, so. So yeah, so Alex was unable to make the meeting today, but he did send some comments. Sorry, I've got
That's okay.
way too many emails here.
So while you look for that, Dan, Wes, can you clarify, is the 15-foot setback a maximum or a minimum?
It's the maximum for an outdoor cafe.
Got it. So like the way the site angles, you're right at the,
It gets closer as you get closer
and
to
that's okay
existing building.
to get closer.
Yes, yeah,
Got it.
the idea
Yes.
behind a pedestrian reach, like the PRO, is that you want the buildings as close to the street as possible. I do have Alex's comments here. He said the issue of greatest concern is the addition. Applying the Secretary of the Interior standards, the addition is differentiated, but it is not compatible with the historic building or the surrounding buildings. The new, then he quotes, the new work will be differentiated from old and will be compatible with historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportions and massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment. He says here, the materials, fenestration, scale, and massing are entirely incompatible with the historic structure. Modern can be appropriate when it relates to or is compatible with the historic structure. This fails to do so here. The use of brick wall around the perimeter is good, and he'd like to see that in the final design. The greenhouse might work here with changes to the massing and materials. The glass should be used instead of the proposed plastic. Does not feel that the plastic material is appropriate. It also feels that it needs to relate better to the addition. It sticks up above the addition and below the historic building, giving it an appearance of arbitrariness. He says the materials, the vertical wood, is concerning, not just because it is not compatible, but because practically it has not been successfully used in other projects, including Edge 32, Church and State, among others. Also does not age well, weathering poorly. He thinks brick would be the more appropriate material here. It says the mural, if proposed, would be or would need to be applied using the appropriate paint for the brick surface. And he, I guess, agrees with the public comment that was made. I think Chris Toddy and neighbors raised many good points. He'd like to understand what is permitted by right and what requires a variance as the at this design. We also would like to know what can be done from a design perspective to mitigate the concerns of the neighbors, particularly noise. There are other examples of outdoor space on Lorraine, like Forest City Shuffleboard, for example, seem to work well, and he's never heard concern or complaint about noise from them. He finishes with saying there are solutions to these issues that will allow for a successful project. Just feels that further discussion is probably needed on them. So
Thank you, Dan. That was my passive way of making Alex start the discussion when he's not here.
I know that was pretty good.
I thought that was pretty good.
That's good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, I again didn't read the neighbors who I'm assuming are more immediate neighbors and their concerns for noise, but I also would love to see this site activated and this building brought back to life with another local business. And I'm curious if there could be some configuration creativity that would allow for a bit more of a buffer between the backside of the property and adjacent residential. I'm sure there are a lot of reasons you did this, but I'm curious why the restrooms got pushed to the front. Maybe there's a way to rethink it. I'm not asking you to tell me right now, but like, maybe is there a way that more of that back of house space abuts the alley and more of the active space gets pushed forward? I don't know. That's a thought that came to me. In terms of the compatibility with the historic structure, I agree it very much differentiates, which I appreciate. I'm curious if looking at this view right in front of us, is there a way for the addition, the height and the fenestration of the addition to relate more to the existing building adjacent to it? Are we able to establish or pull through some datum lines that might help make it relate more to the immediate building? That might be a way to start to tie it in a little bit more to its immediate context. And the other thought, I do tend to agree with Alex on the wood cladding. I'm curious if like a light brick could also help tie it in and still maintain the modern differentiated approach. I'm not sure I share his concerns about the greenhouse itself. I think the greenhouse is a established language, and I see what you're doing with it here. I mean, I guess we could question if it's compatible with the historic district period, but its existence in the project does not bother me, I don't think. I don't know unless my colleagues have a more persuasive argument either way on that. Though I think it could be the same looked at, like I'm wondering if there is a configuration that with some tweaking to this configuration from a plan standpoint that would help mitigate some of the broader concerns and also help tie the architecture together a little bit more. Okay, I think that's it for me for now.
Okay, I'll jump in.
Thank you.
So I think my comments are really kind of just the separation and the activity, focusing that more on Lorraine. So potentially at the back of the greenhouse, I think you can see it in the east elevation on the southern wall. Maybe that becomes more solid. So that last door that opens. Yeah, I think it's the east elevation of the plans that you can see it. Yes, right there. So the overhead door on the left-hand side, if you were to kind of bring that solid, that would essentially kind of cap the residential neighborhood to the south and be in alignment with the Metro building across from it, and kind of bring more of that noise activity and add privacy to the resident. Yes, right there. To the neighborhood. And then I think my second comment is just how the addition kind of separates from the historic brick building. So maybe some kind of reveal, kind of a space between those two.
Yeah, I think those are fair comments. We'll have to kind of meet internally with the lease team to see, what their thoughts are about that last garage door.
Yeah, well, that's constructive feedback. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's what we like to hear.
And then in
From
terms
both
of
of
a
you.
reveal, I think that's certainly something that could be booked in. And then Antonia, in regards to I'm going to go back to that front rendering. Yeah, I mean, extending the building vertically would possibly be a little difficult just because cost, essentially. We are hoping that the space within the addition feels like a kind of a smaller, comfortable space, and then you're released into this larger greenhouse space. And so I could see where you're trying to get with that. I think it would be difficult. And I guess
we are using the ceiling height of the existing building. So we are using the existing building that's in place right now, right, Wes? And so we're using some of that and then extending on beyond that. So it's holding the same height that currently exists there. Apologies for the phone in the background.
Yeah, the addition is a little shorter than that interior space. And again, that's something we're kind of playing with at this conceptual stage. But,
Yes,
we'll
to that
think
point,
about
I
it.
wonder if similar to how like the brick parapet extends up, is there just like a parapet element at the front that allows to have height without adding height to the full structure?
Possibly.
Again, I don't know if this is your solution. It's just like that's also not an inappropriate detail. It's used all over Lorraine. Could just give you a little more. I love Brant's idea too, to add a little separator. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Like we have a little relief and then it comes back up and really speaks to the historic kind of massing and rhythm a bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it does. I guess a counterpoint to that would be, I mean, kind of the charm of Lorraine is that it's seemingly individual buildings, individual parcels. Each one of them is kind of unique in their own way. But there are common datums, of course. But that's something to think about. Yeah.
Something I think we've got to mention on West 38th Street, I do recognize that there are residents on the easterly side of the street on the northeast corner of 38th and Lorraine is the Metro Health facility. And so a large chunk of this site is is facing the blank wall of that Metro Health facility. And I think that may be where perhaps Brant's point came about on the last door, because that's getting a little closer to the neighborhood. So you can see, yeah. Thanks. Just want to call that out.
Yeah, I will say that the greenhouse doesn't, no, it does go past the rear wall of the existing building. Yeah, it does. So yeah, closing up that garage door would certainly help.
If I could chime in here, this is Sean, the owner operator of Noble Beast. Like being excellent neighbors is pretty important to us. So we've put a lot of thought already into blocking light and sound. As far as removing a door from the greenhouse, in the summertime, we're already battling ventilation issues in there. So I wouldn't want to go that route, but speaking about the fence in the rear of the property and on that back corner on 38th, we could elevate that to, you know, maybe the roof line of the greenhouse and kind of create like a little pocket back there to shield the view and block any sound kind of leaving the property to the residential areas. You know, you wouldn't want to block off the majority of that greenhouse, but there could kind of be like a little pocket back there that could help shield disturbances.
I'm happy to jump in now, as a lot of my comments will be about the impact to the neighborhood. And I also just want to make note that I'm very glad that there were a few neighbors that were able to write in, because this agenda, as far as I know, was not shared publicly. OCI has been doing that previously, but there was a lag. So it was not. Dan, do you have a?
Yeah, the agendas and links to all the presentation materials are on the city's website now.
They are.
You should be, yes, yeah. So if you go to the planning or the landmarks website, look in agendas, there's one for each of the design review committees. And then, you know, at the bottom of the agenda, you just click that link and it goes to the presentation materials. So I know that's not where everybody looks. Everyone's used to having them on the OCI website, but did just want to make that point for future
Okay.
references. So.
No, that's good, because I can point neighbors to that. There was a lag on OCI's website though, so I know a lot of neighbors were not aware. And so as I'm very sensitive to the impact that commercial corridors have on residents, you know, I currently live 2 homes from Lorraine, and my previous home was 10 homes from Detroit. And so the impact just from, being that much further away from a corridor is extremely significant. So in terms of feedback, I just always like to prioritize those who are nearby, especially compared to those who might not even be in the neighborhood. So I hope Landmarks looks at that whenever they look at the feedback for the upcoming meeting. But since there was very little awareness to the residents, I do think that we'd have a different makeup of public comment. And in terms of zoning, I'm not opposed to the use whatsoever. I'm a frequent bar patron around the area, so I'm not going to fight that, and it's a legal use. But our zoning code is quite robust, so I'm not sure what other codes, what other potential variances would be needed, particularly with the addition. I think the use of the existing building is great. And I do welcome Noble Beast. I know that they're very beloved in their current location, but I have the view, I guess, that a patio is not only a not an all-weather space. So if we're really looking to activate, having an outdoor space wouldn't be the best option for that. But also, I don't feel that this is successfully containing the sound and the impact that it has on the neighbors. The neighbor just to the south that you'll need an easement from has written in opposition of this project. So just also want to make note of that.
We don't need an easement from anybody.
Oh, is it the easement that would be?
It's the easement between these two properties, 3801 and 3815. That's our easement between. That easement is controlled by 3815, and it gave the easement to 3801,
Okay.
basically.
I misunderstood.
Just
I
to
thought
clarify.
that there
That's
was
okay.
some kind of relationship between the neighbors to the south there, in terms of that easement that would be responsible for delivery. So
Sure.
I misunderstood that. Is the greenhouse insulated?
No, but it would be, at this point, would be weather conditioned, temperature controlled in the wintertime.
Wes, if I could jump in, it is a double wall polycarbonate, which would be a decently well insulated panel. We have skylight at Noble Beast now is the same material.
Okay. I just, in terms of reducing impact to the residents, I think insulation would help with noise absorption. I'm also not sure that having those tables on West 38th so far back is the most sort of respectful design there. If we could almost have the structure come out to 38th, and so that would provide a little bit more containment. But generally, I think that there just needs to be more containment and recognition on the impact of the noise, particularly to the residents, and finding more ways to soften that sound. Like I said, I'm not opposed to a bar at all, and it's within its legal use, but I think that the addition has a long way to go in being respectful to the context of where this is, because it is, the transition to a residential district is, I think I'm missing that transition point between, the what did we say, a highly active space. So from going from highly active to less active, I think needs to be a better transition can be conceived here. So, but that is pretty much the summary of my thoughts.
Thank you. It's good feedback as well. We're hearing you loud and clear.
Thank you.
I don't really have anything to add. I think everything's been said. that needs to be said. I would definitely double down on the use of wood though, because it's everywhere we see how it's starting to get torn up. We just don't do it so well. And I don't know if there's an option to go for a wood look panel, or I don't know that that would look necessarily as good, especially if it's right in your face. But yeah, so just seconding everything else.
Thanks, Phil. Do we have any other committee members still present? We don't think so.
I am here, but I
Oh, Margaret, yeah.
yeah, I agree with what's been said. And the 2 points I was going to bring up were the wood materiality changing, and then Nia, what you mentioned about the parapet.
Great.
Oh, I had one just. I know when you mentioned the parapet, because that made a lot of sense to me. But also attention being paid to like the height of the glass there. It's kind of the glass for me that isn't it's just the party that's not matching. So I don't know if that means you drop the height and drop like a soffit or something in there over the glass. I don't know that that necessarily makes sense because it starts you know, blocking things out, but if at least the glass height can match across the front, and maybe it matches that sort of mullion in the middle of the right above the noble beast on the right. Um, you know, there's other options, but yeah, for me on this elevator, because I see the top of the parapet is kind of aligned with the bottom of that stone cap, but yeah, it's kind of the glass for me right here. So that's all I got.
I'm not clear what you mean.
So the height of the glass right now, we have that. It's not. It's basically reiterating what Nia said about the building lines. I see where the parapet's matching up, but the glass on the wood addition is kind of at a height of its own, like a third height, maybe. So, you know, if at least that matched up, I think I would have less of an issue with this elevation. But I do think, you know, this is kind of exciting addition to the neighborhood.
Okay. Do the applicants feel like they've gotten meaningful feedback and effective feedback?
I do. I appreciate your guys' feedback. You've always done a good job when I've come in front of you guys. So thank you for the constructive feedback. Wes or Sean, do you have any additional questions? Or do you feel like we have actionable items?
I think I'm good on my end.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Do you guys have any timeline expectation in terms of, I know you said you're in the flux of a community engagement exercise, but when we might see you back again, or is that just dependent on the overall schedule?
We have landmarks next week, and then we're going to meet with the block club with the updated designs based on your and landmarks feedback. End of the month is what we're discussing. So that's
What
kind
is
of in our
the-
near term.
What is the block club for this?
I believe that's the
30.
solo.
Yeah.
Okay.
September is their next.
Oh, so
Yeah, but and we're
perhaps a special.
yeah, they have their next official meeting in September, but we've been speaking with one of the members about setting up something in late July.
Great. Okay.
So that should give us plenty of time to make these changes, is the hope.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's
Yeah,
the
we do.
merged, Mr. Allison says solo and FBL block clubs.
Thanks, David. Merge
Yeah,
solo.
we do have this scheduled for to come to the Landmarks Commission next week to get their feedback as well. Yeah, and I think we've heard it loud and clear that, well, the block clubs aren't technically part of our process. Talking to them and getting them on board is going to be, I think, really key for you guys moving forward. I was curious, have you guys talked to the city storefront renovation program at all, or looked into that? Okay.
We have. I think they're paused till the third quarter of this year, is my understanding. I know the
Is that what
signage
they
program
pushed
is
it back
open,
to the third?
but I've
Yeah,
heard that third quarter of this year. Yeah, so
yeah.
we'd like to talk to them, and then pursue the Ohio Brownfield grant because we've already put a lot of money in the what do you call it, filling 3 of the tanks and removing one of those tanks. The site was dirty, so hope that's taken into consideration.
Yeah, I think everyone appreciates you cleaning up the site and taking. I mean, I think as long as any of us can remember, this has been just vacant.
Yeah, it's
I
driven
think
me crazy.
everyone's excited to see something happen here. I just want to make sure it works for everyone. But
Yeah, and I think just from kind of a use, this is. I went to Sean a couple of years ago thinking I wanted to make a beer garden, but I don't know anything about running or operating a beer garden business. But it's really modeled after these kind of Central and Eastern European community beer gardens that are quiet. They're not like opera house beer halls, right? These are places where you sit in the garden with your family and friends. You walk and bike to them. They're some of my favorite places in the world, and that's kind of really what we're going for here. I don't know if Sean, I believe he agrees with that, but
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a family-friendly location. I've been a homeowner on 45th for 12 years. I think this neighborhood is missing a communal, low-key gathering spot like this. It's a lot of small restaurants, small bars. This is just kind of a place you can spread out a little bit and relax.
I think you guys have the components for this to be super successful and to do what I think you can have a scenario where everyone is mostly happy with some tweaking.
Thanks.
Agreed.
yeah. Well, thank you guys. We'll I guess you'll hear more next week from the Landmarks Commission, but we'll summarize the comments from this committee at that point too. So hopefully, it's not all the exact same thing over and over. But
Thanks very much.
Yep. See you guys next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Madam Chair, with that, that concludes our agenda for this week. We did have one administrative report. Our very own Phil Talley is our vice chair is I guess leaving Cleveland for the second best city in the country.
Second best.
Yeah, behind
What is
Cleveland,
that?
obviously.
Okay. I am actually calling right now from New York City. I took a job here and really kind of excited to be here, but I'm also really grateful to have been able to kind of contribute as part of the Ohio City Design Review Committee. So I figured because I was now like 7.5 hours away, I should really probably step back from commenting and contributing on Cleveland's architectural landscape. But I'm just really grateful to have served alongside all of you guys. It's been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed participating. So.
Yeah, and I guess from the commission, definitely appreciative of your years of service, both on this committee and then the is it Historic West you're on before? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think when that one merged, and maybe had some different names over the years, but Phil's been helping us out for a while, so we really appreciative of his work. I mean, all your guys' time for sure. Yeah, we wish you the best, Phil, and keep in touch, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Phil. We'll miss you. Congratulations. That's really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so our next meeting is scheduled for July 17th. I'm sure we'll have cases for it. So
great.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Oh, I guess I have to formally call today's meeting.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Of the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, all.
Bye.
Yeah.